Hello and welcome to Words That Matter, Modern Day Book Club. I'm your host, Lee Smith. We have a really fun show today. I'm so glad you're here with us to watch it. Our guest is actor, TV star, and most recently, and maybe most importantly, children's book author, Kirk Cameron. Kirk, thank you so much for being here with us today on Words That Matter. And look, let me ask you, when did your most recent children's book, I should say, is The Fox, the Fair, and the Invention Scare. And these are with Brave Books. And
Yeah.
I'm going to want to talk a little bit later about your arrangement with Brave Books. But first, if you can tell me, what got you interested in writing children's books?
Well, Lee, thanks for having me on the program. And boy, words do matter. In fact, I think that if you can gain control of words and you can decide what they mean and how they're used in the context of culture, you can actually shape the future. You can mold little hearts and minds of children that turn into adults that end up leading the world. So thank you for all the good work that you're doing. I became interested in writing children's books. I suppose mostly because of my children, and my little girl is now a mom who's made us grandparents. And
Congrats.
thank you, thank you. This last Christmas, I wrote a book about virtue, and it is a book about a little acorn that grows into a great big tree and has to learn how to grow through the different seasons of life and learn things like kindness and gentleness and faithfulness and self-control. Well, I went to go read that book at some public libraries, and I was denied by over 50 woke libraries that previously held drag queen story hours, reading stories to kids that are very confusing, if not destructive, in my view. But for me to talk about kindness, gentleness, faith, and self control, they said, "We're not interested. Our values don't align with yours." Well, of course, this is viewpoint discrimination. That's not allowed in the United States of America under the Constitution. So I talked to them about meeting them in court to discuss this, and they reversed course. We went to the libraries and we were greeted by over thousands of parents and grandparents who were cheering for these kinds of books and words to be read to their children and grandchildren. So that's really propelled me and encouraged me to write more books, which is now leading to a children's television program because words really do matter.
Well, let me ask you. I have to say, it's very surprising. It's very surprising. You're famous as an actor. You're beloved by Americans across the board of many different age groups, and yet a lot of people are following this story, and it seems incomprehensible why there is so much controversy around this, especially given your initiative. You're writing books for children. You're not. It doesn't appear that you're insulting anyone or hurting anyone. So why is there all this noise at libraries? Why are people fighting you so hard? Someone who wants to influence children and families, American families, for the better. Why are people so angry?
Yeah. Well,
Some people, not everyone, of course.
yeah, I would say that the vast majority of people that I meet as I travel around the country, and I travel hundreds of thousands of miles a year visiting libraries and schools and churches. And as I do, there are millions and millions and millions of people who resonate with our kinds of values, that appreciate liberty, that love God. They pray and thank Him for their blessings before their meals. They love their family and they love this precious and rare country that we have that was founded on Judeo Christian principles. However, we are now living in the kind of dystopian circus that many refugees from other countries have fled from. And that's why I so appreciate the organization that you work for, because we don't want liberty and prosperity, blessing and protection to leave us here in America. But we are seeing good become evil, evil become good. And when everyone does what's right in their own eyes, if they don't have a moral standard to adhere to that has been proven by history to produce good, what happens is you want to talk about love and kindness and gentleness, and that's spoken of as terrorism. It's spoken of as evil and as discrimination, even though the opposite is true. So, how does it go from diversity, equity, and inclusion being the name of the game to excluding Kirk Cameron from a public library and um, not having any diversity of thought except progressive leftist wokeism? Well, the way that happens is when good people stay on the couch. And what I'm trying to do is surround myself with people who don't just complain about the culture, but want to create a good culture for their children and their grandchildren.
Are you surprised by this? I mean, did this happen quickly? What you're talking about the dismantling of American values. I'm not even going to say traditional. I'm going to say regular American values. I
Yeah,
mean, look, you
yeah,
know, you worked in entertainment, and you know that is a very powerful force in shaping cultural values and cultural messages. Did you see it there, or is this something that you've just started to see the last, I don't know, 5, 6 years? How long has this been building?
I think it's been building for many, many decades. Um, you know, we see morals and spiritual vitality, the economics and political integrity fluctuate over time. But there has been a steady decline in moral, spiritual values in this country, which will lead to political economic decline. But you don't see it happening. It's almost happening invisibly and imperceptibly until the rottenness and sickness gets so bad that the whole thing falls apart. It's kind of like I'm looking at this oak tree in my backyard right now. If I were to go underneath the ground with a little machine and snip the roots under that tree, it would still look beautiful. Tomorrow morning, it would probably still look beautiful. And for a time, it does. And then one day, all of a sudden, you wake up and it's wilted, the fruit has fallen, and the tree is toppling over. But it didn't really happen all of a sudden. And I think in America, it's been the withering of our liberties and our values because the taproot of Judeo Christian biblical values has been snipped. And that is the very source of our nourishment. Our founding fathers made that really clear that this culture is the result of a Christian philosophy of life. It produces the growth, the prosperity, and the liberty. And our future depends on reinstating those things and teaching it to our children. So, those are the kinds of words that I think we need to take to heart because our children's future matters. And we've been put here on the stage of the earth to play our roles faithfully, and we will be responsible for what's left for our children.
Kirk, this is great and so thoughtful. I want to ask you because you're speaking the beautiful metaphors you're speaking in and the parables that you're using. And I know how important your faith is. And so when we come back, we're just going to take a quick break. I want to get right into parables and children's books because, of course, Jesus Christ spoke in parables to his disciples and to other people. So I want to talk about that when we come back. It's just fascinating hearing you talk. Thank you so much for making us all think about that. Look, if you're watching on YouTube, we're going to take a quick break and we're going to come back in less than a minute. So watch us exclusively on Epoch TV. Again, just a very quick break, less than a minute. Make sure you make the jump and get the rest of this great conversation with the great Kirk Cameron. Thank you so much.
I'm Kirk Cameron.
Oh, hey friends, I'm Lee Allen Baker.
Did you tell him yet, Mr. Kirk? Did you tell him?
Okay, we're really excited to announce we are making a brand new children's
Iggy, what are you doing?
Sorry, I was just getting ready for the big announcement. Did you tell him yet? Did you?
No, we haven't told him yet. Would you just like to tell him yourself, Iggy?
Okay, here it goes. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and squirrels. We're teaming up with Brave Books to make, drumroll please, a kids TV show called Adventures with Iggy and Mr. Kirk. Yay! Yay! Huh?
Iggy and Mr. Kirk. Iggy and Mr. Kirk.